Alright guys, what's going on? Welcome back to the channel. It's been a few weeks since we've seen this guy on the channel. This is the RC camera rig project that we're working on here. Now, last episode we got the motor, ESC, and receiver mounted. I did mention the possibility of going brushless on this one. So I did order in a 3650 kV brushless motor, X-Team. As well in here I have an 80 amp 2-4S ESC. So that's kind of just on the back burner right now. We've got the brush combo mounted here, but after I get this thing actually up and running and see how it does, we may choose to go with a bit more power here with the brushless combo. Now, I've been thinking the last few weeks, how am I going to make this camera, actually how am I going to mount this camera? We know how it's going to run off of a servo. We're going to be using the dial here on the top of the T8S right there to move the servo, which the camera would be attached to. Now, that was kind of where I was somewhat stumped, and part of the reason why I haven't made any progress on this up until now. I wasn't really sure how I was going to make a bracket for that servo, but the other day I came across this. Now let me show you what this is. This is a dual shaft servo, and as soon as I came across this, I knew this is exactly what I wanted. So you can see this servo here has a dual shaft, and then this bracket here attaches to that. So now I've got a nice like U-shaped pivot arm here, and then the other bracket attaches on the back, and that's what I'm going to use to that in conjunction with another bracket to mount it. So that's what I'm going to be using for the servo. That dual shaft servo was perfect. I was glad I came across that. Now, with that being said, I've already got this thing built, because it was a 2-pack. So right there, guys. And I 3D printed a cage for an action camera. Now, I decided, you know what, I have plenty of action cameras. I decided to use this one here, Wolfang GA120. And we just reviewed this one not long ago. It's a budget camera. It was decent quality, decent stabilization, and it's nice and light. So I decided to build this full 100% infill 3D printed cage here. Now let me just show you. You can see the bracket. We have 8 of these smaller holes. So I just 3D printed holes in the same location. We through bolted that. You can see through the back there. So that thing is strong. And the camera, I have no accessibility to the buttons. I didn't want any, didn't need any. What we're going to do is, this has a front screen, so we'll use the front display here with the remote to turn the camera on and off, or at least to start the recording. Now I did, you can see the slots in here, right there, and along the side here. That's just to provide clearance, and this fits in perfect, just like that. And you can see the front frame here actually sticks out further than the lens. Now to hold that in, all I did was machine screw on the top, machine screw on the bottom. I'll just show you. Screw those in. I have a little piece of shrink tube. So I'm just going to slide that in right there. And then I screw the screws in from either side. And once the camera's in there, we're good to go. So they're long machine screws, so they take a little bit to screw in. So we'll get both sides screwed in here, and then we'll kind of mock it up for you and show you how this is going to work. So with these machine screws in on either side, and the reason I have the shrink tube in there is because a little bit more thickness to hold that camera and to protect it. Didn't want the threads of the machine screw rubbing up against the face of that camera. And I tried to keep it off to the side enough so I could still see the display. I am partially obstructing the display, but not enough to really worry about it. I can see that it's when it's on, and when it's recording, I'll be able to see when it's recording. So on the way this is set up, guys, it's set up to, you know what, turn the camera on, hit record, and just go at it. Alright, so that nice and tight there. And you can see that camera is not going to move at all. It's good. So what I'm going to do, guys, I'm going to mock this up. Now we're going to be mounting it to the front here. this is the next step. I'm not going to mount it that low. I think I'm going to put an L bracket on it, and we're going to move it up a little bit like that to get a little bit more clearance. And I might even try to hug it back tight there. And that's, for right now, as a setup. I kind of was playing around with maybe going up here with it, and that's still a possibility. But for right now, the mock-up's going to be right down here. So to do that, I'm just going to clamp it there. And once we have that clamped up, we'll show you how this thing functions. So this is most likely going to be pretty close to the positioning of the camera here. I am going to put an L bracket and attach it to the chassis and then raise this up just to have a little bit more ground clearance. Without the clamp here, I do have a little bit of ground clearance, but I'd like to have at least a half-inch more is probably ideal. So most likely we're going to be looking something like this, just with a little bit more clearance, with it moving up at least half-inch. Now, I'm going to plug it in. The little scroll wheel on the top here, that is channel 8. So we're going to plug it into channel 8 of the receiver here. And while we're at it, let's get that in there. I'm going to plug the battery in, and we're going to test this out. So we're into channel 8. Plug in the battery. Now this cage here, I designed that on Friday night. Printed it yesterday, which was Saturday. 100% infill, so it's pretty sturdy, and it's, like I said, we have 8 machine screws holding that to the bracket, so I don't see this being a problem at all, being this 3D printed. It is solid. Like, it is solid plastic there. It should be just fine, and I can use any action camera I want. All I have to do is just change the footprint on the inside here to fit whatever action camera I want. It won't take long. The main cage design won't change, but if I do decide to change the action camera, I would just change the inside to suit the size of the action camera I want to use. Now, everything is on there. We're going to pull in the T8S right here. There's our little scroll wheel. Okay, we'll power it up. Okay, guys. So that's looking pretty good. Like, I'm happy with that. We'll just show you one more time with the scroll wheel here. So while we're driving, I'm going to have control of the camera. I'm thinking about, on top of the servo here, mounting a little FPV camera. I've got the camera. I'm set up for that. I just have to double check my transmitter. I believe I have a long range transmitter, but that's kind of what we're set up to here. Now, I haven't set up the T8S here at all. We haven't gone into any of the settings yet, but that's where we're at for right now, guys. I think pretty good progress. I know it's been a few weeks, and hopefully I'll get back on this project here soon, but another step complete. We've just have to figure out now, by next video, we'll probably figure out and have this thing mounted permanently and be done with that. I still have to mount the steering servo. I still have to do the little spring on the throttle here. Crack this open and throw the spring in there for self-centering. Currently it's right-hand throttle, which I don't want, but not bad, guys. Everything's coming together quite nicely here, especially with the amount of time I've put into it, which is minimal. We're making progress. Well, I think we're going to wrap this one up now. Just a quick update for you. We know what we need to do in the next video. We got to get this thing permanently mounted, get a steering servo in there, and then I think we're ready to actually test it out. Very happy with how the mock-up turned out here. No complaints at all. That works way better than expected. These dual shaft servos, that was a game changer finding these. Definitely made this part of the project much easier than I expected it to be. So we'll leave links down below for those. We'll leave links down below for everything else here. If I have the links, they'll be down below in the description. And we'll leave it at that. You guys like this video, make sure you hit a big thumbs up. New to the channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button before you head out. And we'll see you on the next one.